Hey everybody, hope you're doing well. Thanks for joining this live stream in which I'm going to be taking you through my Notion AI workflow. And this is because I've been getting a lot of requests about how to use the new Notion AI features, which are now available inside of what many of you may have known as the productivity system known as Notion. I've been a Notion user for probably 6 or 7 years now, certainly before the pandemic. We used it for a number of years to manage our entire company's productivity, kind of like an internal wiki content management system, and I've used it a lot personally as well for writing projects to managing the different types of content that I have to produce for social media, planning things like these videos. And just a whole bunch of other stuff. And I'm actually even using it right now to store all of the different chapters for how I'm planning out the book project that I'm working on that's coming out next year. So lots of different types of applications and usage for Notion. And there's definitely some opportunities I think that you'll find in this video for you guys to use it. And if you're not even a Notion user, you can get started straight away. Of course, the first thing to understand is, well, what is Notion? Notion is an amazing AI software system. Not always been an AI software system, obviously. It's always been a software system which is kind of built to replace that kind of internal wiki knowledge management type of portal that you might have for yourself for personal productivity or for company productivity. And you can use it to do all sorts of things, including building yourselves out different internal hubs. For example, I have this hub page that I use inside of Notion every day when I get started. This is just a demo of it, which contains all sorts of different content. You can go and grab a template of it, which I'll make available in the comments below. And I use this as my daily start template, where you've got a task tracker, things like being able to contain 3 big things that you're working on today. You can store images in it, even some little daily habits and routines, and a journal. So this is kind of a typical way that many people have their Notion templates set up. But what I want to focus on today is the Notion AI database, which basically means that you can get started by actually working on projects inside of Notion and using it to create content, to organize things, and to use Notion's AI features over the top of what you're doing inside of Notion, so that you can then get much better productivity out of it. And so if you've got questions or comments as we go through this, I'm going to be going through it literally live and in real time. So please do drop them in the chat. I'm trying to pay attention to those as well. So if you get a chance, please go ahead and drop those comments below, and let's see if we can get you some help. So if you're watching live, please let me know. Okay, well, first of all, what is Notion's AI? Well, Notion's AI assistant works in a similar way to other AI assistants you've seen, things like Copilot, Claude, ChatGPT, and particularly some of the AI assistant tools that live inside of these coding environments like Cursor or Windsurf, if you used any of those, which is that it has the ability not just to talk to you about typical tasks. We can ask it to do simple things like, hey, can you plan me the ideal weekend in New York? And you can talk to it using the AI models that are built into it, which include GPT-5 from OpenAI, Claude 4.5 from Anthropic, and Notion's own AI model, which I think is a blend of the two, to be honest, or a fine-tuned version. Here you go. You can just talk to it like a chatbot. Now, worth saying that you do have to have access to Notion AI with a Notion account, and you also have to be a paid user to use the Notion AI features, but there is a certain amount of usage that I think is built into the free tier. So here you go, talking to it like a regular chatbot. The thing that gets really powerful, though, when you begin to use Notion's tools is that you can use it to create content. And so let's just go ahead and do that first of all. So rather than asking it for a chatbot, I'm just going to say, can you create a page for my upcoming trip to New York? I've got a 3-day trip. I fly out on Friday, leave on Sunday afternoon, where I'm going to move on to go to Washington, DC. And I'm bringing the kids with me. So give me a page that is an ideal plan for that weekend with the kids staying in Manhattan. I'm dictating that live into Whisperflow. Whisperflow is an amazing auto dictation tool that you can use, which just literally takes over the function key of your Mac keyboard, or you can use it for other keys. You can get it configured and it dumps it straight in. A little bit laggier than usual, just caveat to the Whisperflow guys. Usually you're really on that, but I think with the AWS outages that happened this morning as we're going live, and also the fact that I'm live streaming, it may just be a bit slower than normal. But there you go. Perfect dictation straight into Notion, and let's go ahead. Now, the big difference here is that what Notion now goes and does is not just writes the content or has that conversation with you the same way that ChatGPT or Claude would work, but it can create pages inside of its own database. Notion has lots of different ways of creating content, but the main things I use it for are two functions: pages and databases. And so you can create pages, you can create databases, and you can create databases that have pages and pages inside of databases. And you can see here that it's gone ahead and created this new page, which is here inside of Notion. Now let's scale this up so we can get a bit more content on screen. And hopefully it scales for the live stream. Hopefully you guys can still see that. So here we go. It's created a page. Now, if you're used to using Claude or ChatGPT's Canvas or Artifacts tools, this works in a similar way. Apart from this is now a page stored inside of our Notion instance. And so it's written this content. And this is now just a page that I can go and edit and change things around. So perhaps I want to change this from a text box into, perhaps I'm going to change this into a highlighted call out box. Here's some key details. Maybe I want to quickly highlight this in a different color. You can do all of the different things. You can also add comments and invite people to this. So this is now a page, and it works in a very similar way to most other page editing tools like Google Docs or things along those lines. So you can kind of just edit this page. You can also share it with other people. For example, I'm coming to New York. Maybe I want to send this to my friend Nils Smith, and I could go and invite him because we're going to see him in New York over the weekend. Hi, Nils, if you're watching. Now, it's got my Friday arrival. It's made up a bunch of stuff, obviously, because it doesn't know where we are or where we're staying. So I can now go and iterate over the top of this page using Notion's AI here in the sidebar. So I might want to let it know that we're going to be staying at the residence in Midtown, and we're meeting up with Nils and the family for breakfast on Saturday morning at Junior's in Times Square. Can you add that to the itinerary and adjust accordingly? Now I'm going to put that into the text box, again, dictating using Whisperflow. Again, if you want to check out Whisperflow, it's spelled wispr.com, I think it is, or .ai. You find the website, I'll put a link in the comments. And I'm going to give it that iteration. Now what's going to happen here is that, unlike editing or backwards and forwards in that chat you have with ChatGPT, this is now going to go and edit this page, and so it's going to actually create this content inside of my page, and I'm not going to have to touch it myself. And so here it is. It's going to go through and give me some updates. So it's viewing the page, discovering kind of all the content that's got written on here. It's come up with some really good suggestions actually, and now it's going to go and make my adjustments. So here we go, updating the page, and we're beginning to see it write this in. And hopefully we should get an updated page in a second. The danger, here you go, it's happening live. So it's editing this now. So, okay, yeah, we're meeting up with Nils and family at Giant Square, and it's now begun to adjust the rest of the day. Now, the good thing about what you can do with Notion is that it has the ability to create databases. Now, most people, when I talk to them about how they use Notion, the challenge that they often find is creating databases can be a bit of a tricky topic. And this is where their new AI features, I think, really come into their own, because they have not only some suggested databases. You can see here, I've tried to create a database in line, and you do that by just literally coming in line in this page. So we're going to put a database inside of this page. Let's just kill this one for the moment. We're going to put a database in this page, and because we're suggesting family pizza here in the afternoon, I want to create a database of pizza places that we might want to go to in New York. So I could do that myself. I could hit / to bring up the commands and type database. I'm going to put a database in this page, and I'm going to just do it manually for now. So I might say this is going to be, this database is going to be pizza places and addresses in this property here. So I'm just going to do text here. Address, and where they are. Okay. Now, when I create a page inside of this database, it's going to be a line. So let's just say Joe's Pizza on 5th Avenue. Okay. Cool. You can kind of carry on this way, but it's a bit of a pain, to be honest, to set up databases. And for us, it always has been. But now you have the ability to do these with the AI tool. And there's two ways of doing it. One, you can do it in line with the AI tool here. So if I just press the space key at any point without having typed anything, it will load in the Notion AI, and I can talk to it in line. I can also talk to it over here in the sidebar on this side piece where I can reference the page that we're working on. Or I can do that / command again and come in and create a new block. And let's say that this is going to be a database again. and I can use the build with AI feature. And when you load the build with AI feature, it gives you much more custom control over how to do this. So what I'm going to say is, I want to build a database of pizza places I can visit in Midtown and Soho in New York over this weekend. I want to know the names of the places, the addresses, so I can get to them quickly. And I want somewhere where I can leave a star rating for how good I think their pepperoni slice is. And I'm going to leave that instruction in there. Now the AI system, because Notion knows how it works with its own AI databases and knows how to build databases, it can build the database for you, which gives you just like so much more control and power, but it gets it also done so much more quickly. Databases inside of Notion are super interesting features because they can be relational. So you can have multiple databases, multiple tables in different parts of your Notion database, and they can talk to one another. But every entry inside of a Notion database is itself also a page, and a page can have all sorts of content on it, including embedded content, images, videos, embeds from things like Google Drive and others. It can even have other databases inside of it, so you can have nested databases. And the power of AI inside of Notion is that it can read all of these databases, the links between them, and iterate over the top. Okay, here we go. So we've got a database it's suggesting. The AI has written 3 suggested data entries because it's connected and it knows where it is. Actually, it's given me the real addresses and the real neighborhoods. The recommended ratings, I don't know if that's come from somebody else. A tick box, whether or not I visited it, and some notes. Let's also add a price range category here, which is added. And the date that we visited, that's just fun. And let's just go ahead and continue. And let's also include that in our weekend plan view. So it's got different views here. So we've got a view by neighborhood. We can view them by all the places, and view by top rated as this kind of card view. And let's just go back one step and say, leave a space for where I can add a photo of the slice when I get there to add it to the database. So when we go around New York this weekend, try different pizza places, I'm going to take a slice, get a picture, and add it in. So let's just add this to the database. And now, as you can see here, it's adding our pizza slice section to the database. So this should give us somewhere for me to be able to store a photo. Where's it gone? Address, noted, price range, Midtown. Where's our pizza photo gone? Oh, here. Oh, it's hidden. Okay, it's hidden because it can't see it. Let's just take off the visit date. That isn't that important. Okay, let's go ahead and continue, and let's create this database. Okay, so we now have a database in line inside of our pizza places New York itinerary. And when I click open here, it's given me the option at the top of this page to add a photo. And so there I could add this photo. Now I'm going to need to edit this because it's as a URL at the moment. I need it to be files and media, so I can actually upload the raw picture there. But I could have obviously just given it a URL to something like Instagram or somewhere else. And so now each of these individual pages inside of this database is itself its own page. And so let's just open up this Joe's Pizza, and you can now see the right hand AI Notion taskbar is referencing the Joe's Pizza entry. It's saying I can add a new item, which we haven't got anything set up for that. But why don't I say, rather than doing this work myself, I might want to populate this. So let's ask it to do this. Can you set this up as a blog post on Joe's Pizza so I can write a review about Joe's Pizza, pull in any information you already have about it? And again, we can reference different pages inside of this. So I might want to reference the fact that we are on the Joe's Pizza page, and I might also want to reference the name of my New York weekend with the kids. And so now it's going to look at both the itinerary that we have for the New York weekend and also the page about Joe's Pizza, and it's going to update this page because I've directed it to do so. And this is the really powerful thing about that Notion's AI, is it's super controllable. So you can push it in different directions. You can make it so that it actually pays attention to individual pages and edits those pages. And it means that you just have a lot more kind of dynamic interaction with it, which makes it much more easy to work with. So here you go. It's pulled in some facts about it. It's got a pepperoni rating, visit content, the order notes, tasting criteria. So it's set me this up as basically like a kind of review page, so that next time I come in, I can fill in this information. So perhaps when we get to Joe's Pizza, we can add this. Now, there's probably a bunch more pizza places in New York. And so let's just go back and interact again with this database. And so I'm going to reference the database. I'm going to say @reply and go to pizza places, New York City. And I'm going to say, I want to visit quite a few places in Midtown, the Lower East Side, Soho, and maybe a couple of Brooklyn options. Can you populate the database with suggested places? Now, of course, if you were to do this same task inside of ChatGPT, it could do that web search for you and it could go look at it. And in fact, I might want to get this information not just from what's in the model, but make sure it's up to date. So here I'm going to change the different sources. Now here we can see you can toggle on and off different sources. The sources, I don't mean pizza sources in this case, I mean sources, S-O-U-R, means that you can turn on different integrations. So here I could connect to different apps. Here I can turn on web search. I can have also other apps and integrations. And Notion has loads of connection points. You can connect it to Slack, to Gmail, to Linear, loads of other places. You can turn on and off the web searches, and you can also personalize the way in which it talks to you as well by giving it a name, accessories. You can kind of make it pretty cute, which is fun. So here I've got the web search turned on. And so now let's go and run this. And because it's got the web search, it should be able to populate this database more fully. And so let's dive into the database and look at it as it gets populated. So here, this database, I'm now viewing it inside of the page. You can see the way it's nested in between. We can add some fun things to this. We can add some cover art. Go grab a pizza slice spot from Unsplash, perhaps. So this nice kind of pizza topping. We've already got a little thing here. I can also add a description and other things too. You also see this being organized by neighborhood, so it's already created these different neighborhoods, and now we're going to begin to see it updating this database with new places. You can see here that it's updated the neighborhood factor, and that's creating new pages. So here we go, a bunch of new options coming in, and again, unlike doing this inside of ChatGPT, you're not just having a big old list of things that you've got to dump out somewhere else. You're doing it natively inside of Notion. It knows the categories. It knows the different parts of the database. And so rather than just dumping in all of these pizza places, which is obviously done, let's kind of go for Angelo's, good option. It's giving me the address, the neighborhood, and the ratings, and it's populated these fields for me in advance. And so I don't have to go and take all that data out of ChatGPT or import some other Excel document. It just does it for you. Now, this is obviously quite cool and easy, great way for kind of doing personal planning. But what about if you were to be doing something a bit more robust with it, say, for example, like longer form writing tasks in a work context? Well, Notion AI is pretty powerful and it can handle a lot of context. So let's start a new chat and start a new page. And we'll just kind of start blank here with a new page. Let's go get some help from our AI assistant. I'm going to call it up again here in the sidebar. Now, say you were working on, I don't know, a series of blog posts about how AI is transforming a different industry. Then you might want to do that. And you might want to start off with, rather than a page, creating a new database as well. Or maybe let's start up a hub page. So I want this page to be a hub for all of my writing about how AI is going to transform, I don't know, the automotive industry. Can you set this page up for a place where I can store information about different businesses in that industry, some blog posts where I can start drafting them, probably going to need a database to store those blog posts, and maybe some other bits of content that I might need to reference in the future. Because the Notion AI has all of this different source material, it can pull from many different places inside of your database. Now, it happens that I already have a couple of thoughts about the kind of future of the creative industries already stored in here in a document called Creative Future, our Creative Future AI 2030. So I'm going to reference that. And when I do so, I'm going to ask Notion to write any content in the same style as the Our Creative Future document so that you can get my house style. Now, because I've already got that document written inside of my Notion database in something that I've written, it knows how I speak, and it's a lot of content. You might be able to populate this yourself with recordings from your Zoom meetings or Teams meetings. Perhaps you've been on a podcast, or maybe you've written some articles at some point or other. And when you bring that work into Notion, it can reference it as a database. So I might suggest you set up a database and store all of your writing in one place. In fact, I've done that. And so it's going to be able to do this. So now it's going to go work on this new page, this blank page that we've got created here, to try and fulfill the task. But because it has context, the context of that Creative Futures document, it knows what to go and look for. And so you can also examine how Notion is thinking about this by looking at the thinking tokens coming through the AI. You can see it says the user wants to match the content of a specific style, including executive summary, and wants to focus on those sections. So here you go. It's began to set this up, my working writing hub. It's set up a database for me to store information about automotive companies. It's set up a database for blog posts, resources, some starting points that we might want to listen to, and a draft template here of a outline for the blog post style. It's now going to go back and keep going, which is, that again, the other thing that I love about this is it keeps working harder and harder. So once it did that initial task of setting up the page, it's recognized that the databases are empty and they also don't have many categories in them. And so it's gone back and has begun to populate those categories as well. And so you'll see those begin to get filled in. Okay, it's now done that into a blank page, but I think I want to probably kind of get started with a bit of information. So let's work on this first. And let's work with the automotive companies database. Can you search the web and populate this with the top 10 automotive companies operating in the US and the UK right now? And again, we're iterating over the top of this process. And I know that some people have spoken about this kind of vibe coding way of working. I like to refer to this as vibe working because you're not completely out of the loop here. You're in the loop, you're doing the work. But the effort, can you imagine how much time it would have taken for us to just do this in the past couple of minutes? We've been streaming now for what, like, I don't know, 7 or 8 minutes, maybe a bit longer than that. And okay, about 20 minutes. And in that 20 minutes, you know, how long would it have taken for you to set up all these different pages to make this all work? It's a lot of work. But by working with a tool like this, it's able to go and do that deep thinking for you and kind of get things going. And I think one of the biggest challenges that most of us face is that kind of working whilst other things are happening. We've got other things we need to get doing. You know, you've got to be in a meeting, you've got to go do an errand, you know, you've got to go pick up the kids from school in an hour, whatever it might be. You can leave these tasks running and it's doing the work for you. It's getting things set up. Like, there's nothing original that I have to say about the companies that it's found here. I wouldn't, otherwise I would have just had to go click around the internet and find this information. But here it is, AI, you know, doing the work here of setting up this database, the pages, categorizing them and having a bunch of content to refer to in the future. And so now, because it's done this work, I've kind of got all the information I need to kind of get going on this blog post to be able to refer to these companies. Which means that when I want to go and start working on doing some writing, well, now I can refer between these two things. So I've got two different databases on this page. So let's write the first draft blog post about how AI at drive-through locations is going to change the way people design the cockpits of a car. And because, again, this AI is referring not just to its own knowledge or even the knowledge on the web, but it's referring to the knowledge we've begun to craft inside of this Notion database. And it also still has reference to my house style from the articles I've already got stored within it. You begin to see how this all kind of connects together, right? Is that it's working over the top of many different layers of context and content to get a much better creative output. And so this is the way of kind of getting that first draft done, that first blank page kind of sorted. And here you go, we've got a page in here. It's beginning to draft this up and giving us some ideas. And from here, I can go and iterate over the top of it. There's so much in Notion AI, we can't possibly cover it all in one video. So I would love it if you would drop in the comments below if you're still watching live or on the post recording, what other elements of this you would like me to dive into next. There's ways of editing content, there's ways of working with Notion, interacting with things like ChatGPT, interacting with Claude, other tools. You can also work within Claude and backfill content into your Notion database. There's like just so much to unpack here. So if you've got thoughts, I would love it if you drop it in the comments below. I would love to see how we can help you get started with this. And so that is my request to you. But thanks so much for joining me for now. If you've got further thoughts on what else you want to see in these videos, other kind of AI productivity tips and hints, then I would love to hear from you. And particularly if you want to dig further into what Notion is capable of doing, let me know in the comments below, and we will work on more stuff like this in the future. But for now, that's a wrap on Notion AI to kind of get started. I'll drop a link below for you to use to grab yourself yourself a Notion account if you don't have one already. I think it's probably an affiliate link, but I don't make any money out of it unless you use it, so no biggie. Thanks so much, and yeah, see you in the next one.